Yo, what's up, guys? Happy Wednesday. So I'm going to keep these live streams a lot tighter, just kind of go through some plays, and that's the goal here. So we got some good-looking plays that are going now. I forgot if I gave this play out on Twitter, but Taco Tuesday from yesterday looking good. So hopefully, we can find some good plays on Underdog. We can find some good plays on Parlay Play. So let's get into it. So, kind of weave in hopefully some useful information throughout. So where should we start? We might as well start with I'm going to say this in a lot of the videos before I get into some plays, but you may use different sports books than I use, right? Depending on where you're located. I mean, I literally think there's 202 sports books on OddsJam, and there's thousands of sports books in the world. Depending on where you're located, you may use different books, right? So this is a really good bet on FanDuel that I don't have access to, right? Because I can't bet on FanDuel. Bryson Stott, over 1.5 hits. You're getting this at plus 240 odds on FanDuel. Every other sports book pricing this, around plus 198, and that includes FanDuel in the weighted odds. So we're finding value as sharp bettors. That's always what we're, trying to do. So anyways, let's kind of get into some plays. I'll try to show, obviously FanDuel is a profitable book. So I'll try to remember to show some profitable plays on FanDuel, DraftKings, whatever, or promos if I see one. But again, it's not a book I have access to. So as much as I like you guys, I'm going to focus on books I can use. So this is a book I can use. You used to be able to bet it from your computer, but for some reason, I don't know if they updated their app or something, but it's not working on my Mac right now. So you got to bet it from your phone. But what's cool about this sports book, so I'm just going to lock it in, is they're legal in basically every state, right? So, this is a book you can get in Florida. A lot of people think, oh, you can't bet on sports in Florida. It's still illegal. You can only play on Prize Picks. And again, the more books you have, the more promos there are going to be, stuff like that. So for example, we'll go through some Prize Picks plays. I've already used the, what's it called? These hot dogs, whatever. They're running some promo right now. And again, this is the easiest money you're going to make sports betting is from these promos where they're discounting a line. Just like the easiest money you're going to make sports betting is from the initial user sign-up bonus. You sign up for Prize Picks, they have an $100 deposit match. You put in 100, you get 100 for free. So I'll include my refer friend codes below for a few of the main sports books I use. But anyways, let's get into some plays. But this is the first play I'm going to lock in. One thing that's kind of interesting to note about this play is the market is locked. So what I mean by that is you can see the under 9 is at plus 190. So you could bet 100, right, to win 190 in profit. And the over 7 is minus 190 on Tipico. So you could bet 190 to win 100 in profit on Tipico. So what some people will do, and again, this doesn't really relate to, well, it kind of relates to Fliff. So on Fliff, they have these free coins and stuff like that. But long story short, on some sports books, the more you bet, the more points you get type of thing, the more reward points you get. Some of the books have really good rewards programs. Like Caesars, if you bet enough money in a year, they give you a 5-day free trip to the Bahamas. You don't believe me? Go look it up, right? There's literally a certain amount of money. It doesn't matter if you win or lose long-term on Caesars. If you hit the minimum amount of money you have to bet, you get the minimum reward credits. They give you a 5-day free trip to the Bahamas, some random stuff like that. So it's worth looking into if you're interested in that type of stuff. But anyways, what we can do is we can go to a hedge calculator. So if you are working through a bonus or something like that, right, you can see right here, Fliff has, so let's just say 100, right? So you could put 100 on Fliff, right, on the under, which is the only side I bet. I don't have access to Tipico, and the under is the side with the value anyways. But if you put $100 on the under, right, you're betting 100 to win 190. So if the game goes under, right, you're going to win 190 on Fliff. And if you put $190 on the over on Tipico, you're going to lose 190 on Tipico. You're going to be flat. If the game goes over, you lose $100 on Fliff. We're betting the under at plus 190 for $100. And the over, we're betting $190 at minus 190 odds. So we're going to make $100 in profit. Is once again, you're going to be flat, right? Net profit is 0. So, that's kind of a strategy. But long story short, like whenever markets are locked, we know one of these bets has to be profitable, right? There's no juice in the market. We could literally place it, the over on Tipico, the under on Fliff, and we wouldn't lose money if we bet it in the right proportion. So like what that means is one of these bets has to be profitable, right? If you can bet both and, not lose money, then one of these plays has to be profitable. So that's called a locked market. And if you look at the odds on sports books, again, like, pretty clear value at plus 190. But anyways, let's go over to Underdog Fantasy. We might as well start there. What's up, guys? We got 139 people in here. Pretty good. So we'll start out on Underdog Fantasy. Again, like, I don't know which book necessarily is going to have the best bets on a given day. But we're adding a bunch of new markets to OddsJam, which is pretty cool. So you can see one, you may not have even known this league existed, but apparently it does. I think it's Big Three. I'm not sure if this is like washed up EuroLeague players. I'm not really sure what it is, but you can see where's the discrepancy. For Garland Green, right? Like we're always looking for discrepancies in the market as a sports bettor, right? So like all OddsJam is doing, and you can do these things manually, right? Like you don't, if you have a bunch of time, you don't need software. All OddsJam is doing is really just scanning the market, right? Like literally at any given time. There are, if you go over to esports, there's like thousands of lines, tens of thousands on most. Underdog Fantasy, they probably have 1,000 esports lines, right? There's all these different lines. So all OddsJam is doing is because every sports book, they all want to be unique. They set lines independently. It's just kind of like scanning the market, pointing out discrepancies. So this Garland Green guy, Underdog Fantasy and Prize Picks, their models are out of sync, right? Underdog has his line at 16.5. And Prize Picks has his line at 18, right? You're not going to see this in the NBA, right? For NBA, typically, a lot of people think like, oh, the NFL is the most profitable sport to bet on. NFL, if anything, is probably harder to beat because sportsbooks keep such a, close eye on their lines, right? There's a lot of people betting it. There's only a few games a week. Not a few, but you get the point. There's basically only games on Sunday. It's pretty easy for sportsbooks to keep their lines in check. But sometimes in these more niche sports, you can find pretty big discrepancies. But anyways, what we can do is we can kind of just like, looks like there's a lot of these plays, but whatever for now. Again, we're on the Fantasy Optimizer. I'll just remove this league. I don't know much about it. And I think we're adding some other sports books as we speak. But anyways, if we go to Underdog Fantasy, we can see there's like whatever, some recommended plays. And you can see like this one seems pretty good, right? Like I've explained before, but OddsJam is a tool, right? It reads in millions of odds, updates them every second, trying to like point out value. But like, I also kind of like to explain like maybe why I went with a particular bet, and you may not care at all. And like, that's fine. But like you can see here, this Bulldog player, right? If we go to League of Legends, his line is 3 on Prize Picks, right? It's 3 on Parlay Play. Underdog Fantasy has it at 3.5, right? So their line is too high. So OddsJam is pointing out that discrepancy to us, right? That's all it's doing. Like a lot of people, if you look at Colin Rhea, for example, if we go to the MLB, this bet, Prize Picks Underdog, let's see Parlay Play, right? They all have his line at 4. There's no discrepancy. There's no value in the market. You avoid it, like a 10-foot plague. Like a plague. But so we're looking for those few spots of gold where like a sportsbook's screwing up. So we found one, right? It seems like Underdog Fantasy screwing up here. And on Underdog Fantasy, you want to place 3 pick entries. 3 pick entries have a 6x payout. And it may be like, who cares? Well, on Prize Picks, as well as this other sportsbook I use a lot, Parlay Play, they're only giving you a 5x payout for these 3 pick entries, right? So they're ripping you off. Underdog Fantasy is actually giving you like better payouts. So if you go through the math and, we have tons of strategy videos. If you care about the math and, everything, like understanding where these numbers come from. Like there are dozens of strategy videos on the OddsJam YouTube about any concept you can imagine. So that play seems pretty good, right? Like we have 2 data points, prize picks and parlay play, both telling us this guy's line should be lower. And maybe you think like, oh, I'm smarter than prize picks. I'll create a better model than prize picks. It's like, no offense. No, you won't. Like prize picks is, a company with a lot of customers. They've invested a lot of money in their ability to set lines. Like, no offense, they have hundreds of employees, hundreds of engineers, better data feeds than you. You're not just going to spin up a better model than prize picks. The way you beat these books is you scan for discrepancies between them, because they're all investing a lot of money in their ability to set lines. They're moving around lines due to supply and demand. Just like people buy a stock, the price goes up, right? Like if everyone comes in and hammers this guy's over, prize picks will move his line up and inefficiencies in the market go away. But what's great about sports betting is, again, the market's just like very fragmented. You think about the price of a stock, it's not that fragmented. You go to Fidelity or E-Trade, you're going to see the price of Facebook is $316, period, right? Like there's not going to be like you go to E-Trade and it's $200 and then you go to Fidelity and it's $800. Like that doesn't happen. Only in sports betting, where the market's very fragmented, will you find these opportunities, which is why sports betting is extremely profitable. So another reason sports betting is extremely profitable is you have to remember your returns are daily, right? So like a lot of people are like, oh, whatever, like, I invest in the stock market. And it's like, that's great, but like that goes up 8% a year. If you can get a 1% ROI on your bets, these League of Legends games are starting in 12 hours. So let's say you earn 1% ROI on your bets a day. That's 30% in a month. And of course, there may be some circumstances where you're betting on a game a month away, right? Like, I don't know, maybe you like to bet on NFL futures, right? That's different, but you get the point in terms of most bets. So we found a decent play on Underdog Fantasy that we can go with, right? And then we can check out some of these other players as well. So who is Vikla? So maybe we go with this on Underdog Fantasy, right? 1, 2, 3. So the thing about Underdog Fantasy is you can't pair players. Like I would love to be able to bet this player pun to go under as well. So I'd actually probably prefer this person to go under, right? Because the line is better. Like you have to remember 5 versus 4 in percentage terms is a bigger difference than 6 versus 7. So this play seems a little better. This play on pun, which is why it's like ranked higher. But on Underdog, you're going to notice if I go back here and I go to Richard, they all have such weird names. And then there's Richard. But if you try to take, like, what's up with the capitalization here? But if I try to take the, this play, and you're going to see they moved it. So regardless, I'm not going to be able to bet this pun guy. But regardless, I'm going to lock it in this play for $100, right? So this 3-pick entry right here, right? We found a line discrepancy, whatever. So, nothing super, super complicated. You can go ahead and lock that in. And we have a play with an edge. It's not, guaranteed to win. Fuck. And I did not mean to do that. You really don't want to do that. So I placed it with insurance. You don't want to place 3-pick entries with insurance. I thought I was going to place. Anyways, I was not supposed to do that. And what's annoying about Underdog Fantasy is they don't let you cancel your entries within 5 minutes. So I literally didn't mean to bet this. I'm sure you could reach out to support and be like, yo, I just bet this. I meant to make it non-insured. But this was idiotic. So if anything, a learning lesson. You really don't want to place 3-pick entries with insurance. And we have a bunch of articles, a bunch of videos, again, about why that's the case. Tons. So anyways, let's go back here. So what's cool about prize picks, though, is on Underdog Fantasy, you can't play players on the same team. But on prize picks, you can, right? And the way that esports works is if one guy goes over, his teammate is more likely to go over. So if you think about like the NFL, for example, the way that prize picks works is like they don't change your payout, right? Based on you selecting over versus under. It's a fixed payout platform. Is if you were to take like, Mahomes and Kelsey both to go over, like that's positively correlated. If Mahomes has a great season, Kelsey's his main target, then Travis Kelsey will probably go over in receiving touchdowns, right? If Mahomes throws for 60 passing touchdowns, Travis Kelsey's probably going to go over 9.5. So it would make no sense for the same payout, right, to take an under here. So you'd want to pair both overs together because they're positively correlated. And long story short, like we have videos about it again, but when you're betting on League of Legends, players from the same team, you want to take them both to go over, right? Or under together. If one guy goes over, his teammate's more likely to go over. Just like if Patrick Mahomes has a great season, Travis Kelce is more likely to have a great season, at least in terms of like yards, touchdowns, stuff like that. So what we can do is we can head over to this Prize Picks thing. And you can see, again, they're running a bunch of promos. So feel free. I've already bet them all, but if you like these promos, feel free to add any to them. We'll create a little Prize Pick slip. And what we can do as well is just like, let's focus on games that are, not CFL. Let's get rid of CFL and UFC. 2 leagues we recently added. So this is interesting, right? So here now, right, like this play seems kind of interesting. So in the big 3, right, it's all about data, right? It's not about, anything else sports betting. Like you're never going to win every bet, but you check out this Dante Green guy. Prize Picks has his line at 27. Underdog, 28.5. Parlay play, 28.5. And you'll notice these discrepancies will go away eventually as like smart people bet them. They'll eventually start to dwindle and go away. But we can see there's some pretty good plays there. So that makes our third pick, right? We have one data point, 27.5, 2 other books telling us, this line should be at 28.5. So it's like, okay, probably take the over. So what we can do is we can be like, okay. And again, like a lot of people, like one strategy for esports betting, and of course I screwed this up again, but it's called middle betting. So like we found this big discrepancy between Prize Picks and Underdog, right? You'll never see an NBA player at 6 rebounds on Prize Picks, at 7 rebounds, on Underdog Fantasy. It's only going to happen in these more niche markets like esports. So what you can do is you can just hit the over, hit the under, and essentially just take advantage of the discrepancy. That's called a middle bet. And just like everything else, middles, right? We have tutorial videos. If you go to middles, you'll see, tons of tutorial videos about middle bets, what middle bets are, how they work, everything like that. You can look at it as much as you want. We probably have 15 videos about middle betting and stuff like that. The long story short, like, for esports, for these things like esports, there's not as many books posting lines, right? We know Prize Picks or Underdog Fantasy is screwing up, right? One of these books has to be screwing up. Their line is way different, 6 versus 7. I mean, it's like imagine, an NFL total being 60 versus 70. Like in percentage terms, 6 versus 7 is massive. So like this is a huge difference that you can capitalize on. But esports isn't like, baseball where you have literally countless dozens of sports books posting odds. And these are only the ones I have filtered in to my account, right? So you have very high confidence. Literally every book is pricing this at like plus 160, plus 155. Bet 99 has the under a little lower. They're a little more bullish on the under, I guess, than BetJack, right? But like, nothing complicated. If you don't, all you have to do is hit the bet in green, right? That's the play with value. But it's like you have tons of confidence here because every book is pricing this at the same level around plus 160. So it's like, yeah, that's a no-brainer. Every book is telling you this should be priced at plus 160. Literally dozens of sports books with really sophisticated models, right? Like, it's a no-brainer. Pinnacle, one of the sharper, smarter sports books, pricing this at plus 172. Seems pretty good, right? So we can keep going on Prize Picks, see what else is out there. Maybe we like something, maybe we don't. And we need a couple more picks. So what we can do is, so again, our Prize Pick slip that we're working on, we have the added benefit of positive correlation. If this Richard guy goes over, this Pun guy is more likely to go over. So we can add in this tennis play. Tennis, a lot of sports books post lines, whatever, have higher confidence that the play is good. So we now have 4 overs. And if you want to, you can just add in one of these Paco plays already. One of these discounted plays. Easiest money you're going to make sports betting is going to be these discounted plays. But what you can also do is if you want to get a little more complicated, what we can do is we can look for a player from the opposing team. So let's look up this Pun guy. Who is FLSH, right? So in esports, maybe Flash or something like that. I'm not sure. Does Parlay Play have these lines out yet? They do. Team Flash. Team Flash. So nothing yet for the opposing team, but, it would be even better if we could find a good play, right? We're taking 2 overs from the same team. If we could find someone on the opposing team, Team Flash, to go under. And again, like if you don't understand correlation, you want to learn more, whatever, we have tons of videos about it. So what we can do is we can just, maybe find another good play, right? So we have this guy over 27.5, who is Elijah Stewart. So what we can do is we can take a look here at these other big 3 players, and we can maybe find a bit of positive correlation. Man, we got a basketball team named Enemies. So like in basketball, right? Like if you're taking one player's over in points, it probably doesn't make sense to take another, main scorer for that team to go over, right? Like if Luka has a bunch of points, Kyrie probably didn't get the ball as much. If Luka goes off, and goes over, then Kyrie's a little at least more likely to go under. So we can check out these other players, see if we can find something on the same team as this guy. Man, we got all sorts of interesting names. I wish I knew where this league was, but I don't. But anyways, we can go here and sure, whatever. We'll take Stort. I mean, maybe a little bit of positive correlation, right? Like not really. But whatever. We'll lock this in for $100. And again, the added benefit here is we have positive correlation on these 2 esports picks. If this guy goes over Richard, then his buddy Pun is more likely to go over as well. And hopefully you can see my screen. But 5 picks I locked in. Again, like, I'm just showing you what I'm betting, what I'm putting my own money on. If you don't want to bet it, really don't care that much, then don't bet it. So you can see here's like another, at least decent play on Underdog Fantasy, right? So this Curtino Mobley guy, Underdog has his line at 8.5, Prize Picks Parlay Play at 8. But regardless, we can go back here. We can like refresh, see if Fliff has anything new. The market's always moving, just like the price of a stock. So you can see here, you can pull up like line movement charts, right? Whatever. Some books move odds like much more frantically than others. But just the same way a price of a stock, economic news comes out, economy's doing well, price of stocks goes up, whatever. Like there's, whatever, like the tech industry is doing well. Tech stocks go up a bit more. Like there's always new information. So it's the same thing in sports betting, right? Weather, sharp action coming in, if all the action's coming in on the under, sportsbooks are going to drop odds on the under. So another book we can talk about is this Hot Streak one. And it seemed like there were some plays there, but we can take a look here at this Hot Streak play. So let's go back here to Hot Streak. So what's cool about this Hot Streak platform is, which we'll see right here, is every single hour, and usually I just put in my settings, max odds, plus 190. And again, there are tutorial videos online about that. And then we can kind of just like pick a pick, right? So we can see this play, on Gurriel, and it's pretty simple, like finding value. So you can see what's cool about this platform is literally you can see right here, they have these odds boosts. So they're boosting this play from plus 142 to plus 188. Again, I have no idea why, because it's an American sports book, but they show their odds in European or decimal format. So what 2.88 means, right? 2.88 just means plus 188 American odds. So this is just an odds converter calculator. I mean, it's pretty easy to understand. 2.88 plus 188, right? And you can see they're boosting it from 2.42 plus 142 to plus 188. So every single hour, Hot Streak runs these promos, right? Odds boost, whatever you want to call them. It's only $10 max bet size, but I mean, obviously their goal is, try to keep people coming back to the platform, keep betting, obviously their goal. And again, like sports betting really is a volume game. The more bets you place, the better. And like, so we can see here. So you can see here, you can't, however, include 2 of these plays in the same entry. So Hot Streak right? You need at least 2 picks in your entry, but you can only include 1 odds boost. So like this play is really good, 7.9% profitable. I mean, it looks really good, right? You can see Hot Streak is giving us, plus 191 odds. Other sports books pricing this around plus 150. Again, if you don't have Hot Streak, definitely recommend signing up. They give you an even better deposit match when you first sign up. It's $100. You put in 200. You put in 200, they give you 200 for free. Takes literally a minute to sign up. I've used over 50 sports books because, again, the more books you have, the better, right? Never know which book is going to be slipping up on a given day. And a good article that I kind of like to share is this one right here. Or whatever. You can look it up online. Let me just paste it in here. It's called More is Merrier in Sports Betting, but it kind of explains like more about the benefits of having multiple sports books and stuff like that. But long story short, this play is really good, right, on Gurriel. So the other 2 plays are odds boost, so we can't include them. But this play is profitable by 7.9%. Hot Streak's giving us plus 191. Other books pricing this around plus 150. This Grisham play, these 2 plays are odds boosts, so we're not going to be able to include them in our entry. This one's a little bad, negative 0.54% EV. But at the end of the day, like, I don't really care, right? Because I'm pairing something that's 7.9% profitable with something that's negative 0.5%. So roughly 7.4% profit margin on our entry. Pretty good. So we want him under half of a base, right? And then I have a little 2-pick entry. Nothing complicated. Again, you want to place as many bets as you can kind of in a given day. If you read through this article, it explains a lot about, sports betting strategy, stuff like that. More bets, the better. And again, it's only $10 max bet size, but these plays are really profitable and they run these promos every single hour. So even if you're a lower bankroll better or whatever, like, pretty easy. And again, another benefit is even if you only bet $200 total on the sports book, you put in 100, they give you $200 for free in site credit that you can bet. Basically a free $200 as long as you bet it once. Like, take the free $200 and then, you can figure out if you like the sports book or not. Every day they have all these different hourly promos and stuff like that. So you'll be able to find plenty of good bets. So can head over to Parlay Play. I mean, check some other sports books. We're adding a ton of markets right now to OddsJam. Like you can see here, big 3. I mean, different markets and stuff like that. So that's kind of cool. And you can see there's some decent plays on Hot Streak. I'm sure we could, find something. So this play, for example, C's under 6, right? So if we go to him and we take his under 6, this game starts in 12 minutes. So again, why do we like it? I mean, it's like a record's broken, but every other sports book has this line at 5.5. Parlay plays at 6. Follow the value, take the under. Maybe you can find some positive correlation, whatever. So then we have Ross Stripling over 4 strikeouts. Okay. Right? I'm kind of just grabbing plays. Esports, I'm a little more cautious in this new league, big 3. And again, that's not because none of these plays are good. You could just blindly bet them if you have less time or whatever. But I kind of like to try to be sure or not sure. Like I use OddsJam just to try to find the best possible bets, right? In some plays that I'm most confident in, because again, in esports, there's only like a few sports books that post odds. So bets are good, but and the discrepancies are bigger, but maybe you should tread a little more carefully than the MLB, which again has, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of sports books posting odds. So you're much more confident that, your plays are really good. So we could look for some correlation, but that's kind of complicated. So what we can do is we can just create a little entry. I mean, again, no magic going on here. Berserker over 4. Underdog Prize Picks have his line at 4.5. FBI over 3. Prize Picks Underdog have his line at 3.5. Right? Are any of these players in the same game? And we're not. So again, we're not going to. Well, we don't want to bet this, right? Players on opposing teams, you want to take 1 over, 1 under. But OddsJam is, obviously recommending we take both over, so we don't want to do that. However, this Jensen guy, I think I may have already bet something on him. Parlay Play is a great platform. And there we go. So this works if they take it. Nope. So you want to do 6-pick insured entries. And again, like we have articles on why you want to play 6-pick or 5-pick entries. So I've already hit the max on Jensen. So I'll just place a 5-pick entry. On Parlay Play, 5-pick and 6-pick are roughly the same. So you can see it right here. And again, like my refer a friend code is below for both Hot Streak, which has a $200 deposit match, and Parlay Play. Again, like you get free money for signing up, and you're not going to regret having more sports books. Some days Fliff is the one with all the value, right? And we're placing a lot of plays on Fliff. Other times it's, Hot Streak or Underdog Fantasy. So like, even though Prize Picks is the most popular platform, whatever, like biggest social media presence, stuff like that, like you can still make money off all these books. They all have their own kind of like pros and cons. So I definitely recommend. So here you can see the 5 plays if you just want to pause it, take a screenshot, whatever. So 5 picks. And again, like this platform, I'm mainly placing 6-pick parlays. I'm not going to act like I've crushed it on this platform because their max betting size is $60 or $100, depending on how much you're betting. But I mean, an ROI of like, I've made 1.5K profit, maybe a little low, whatever, 1.5K profit on, you can just go to your history. I don't even know if it was legal last year, but I signed up a few months ago. 1.5K profit, 12K, bet. So like, maybe it doesn't seem like it's worth the time, whatever, 1.5K, but you add that up for a bunch of different sports books. And Parlay Play, we've been running a bit cold. The ROI is pretty big, right? So anyways, let's see how our picks are looking. So this one's looking horrible, and this one's looking great, which actually works out well for us, right? Like if you're going to lose 3 picks in a row, you'd rather have it be in the same entry as opposed to, this looks good for us. And like sometimes it's just like that. So we'll see how it goes. But regardless, been profitable on this platform. I like it. So my 2 cents. So this play is interesting, though. Like you can see Eduardo Rodriguez, his line is 6.5 here, right? Prize Picks, first of all, has a promo on him. They have his line at 4.5. Parlay Play has his line at 6.5, right? That's way too high. So maybe we can find another play. And then what you can do too is you can go to, so this is called the sportsbook screen, and it doesn't like identify good bets for you. I mean, it does, but it doesn't like say like the EV tool, which I use most. This is the tool I use most, especially when I'm in a state where I'm using like DraftKings and FanDuel. It's most useful. But again, like I'm not currently in a location where I'm betting on FanDuel, so I'm just using it a little less because I've mainly been doing Prize Picks. But you can see a lot of bets on FanDuel, so I'm mainly using this tool. But whatever, you get the point. So, if you didn't already bet it or you want another pair, whatever, that's not bad. That's not a bad idea. Did we already bet Castillo over 7.5? So here's a second one. Okay. So now we have 2 picks. And what's cool about Cloud9, so we can go here. I feel like there was one guy I was going to bet, but I couldn't. So Berserker sees, so let's just refresh this. And we can see here, Berserker and sees, what other plays did we like on Parlay Play? And then we can go back to Underdog, maybe Prize Picks, play it by ear. But if we take a look here at Rodriguez, right, like, sportsbooks have his line in general at like 5.5, 6.5. I don't know. Maybe this play's not as great as I thought. But regardless, like, 5.5, 6.5, like sportsbooks, it's kind of interesting too. Like DraftKings doesn't have odds up for him. Sometimes you'll notice like, when lineups are released, like oftentimes some of the best MLB bets I'll find, and you'll see it here, is Underdog when official lineups are released. And oftentimes you'll see this moves odds a lot, right? Because I don't know who the Royals are playing, but you can imagine, right? Like whoever their starting lineup is, the ordering, who's going to be hitting, that affects the opposing pitcher's pitching props. So oftentimes, like as official lineups are released, you'll see a ton of good bets in the MLB. You'll see a ton of pitching props that are available. But anyways, we'll call it a live stream for now. I'll be back on it for sure later. And hopefully this video was helpful. My email is just my name, alex@oddstream.com. If you have any questions, let's make some money.